Good morning. My name is Donnie Glover, and welcome to the BlackUSA.News morning show. We're here today with my very dear friend, serial entrepreneur, hustler extraordinaire, the contract doctor, Paul Gardner. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Donnie, for having me on your show this morning. This is an awesome and excellent opportunity.
Oh, we're about to get jiggy with it. But look, I'm going to step off for a second and do this transition. We got to make a public service announcement, so bear with me. There you go, slide up some.
That's good.
Yeah, don't move. There you go.
Good.
Speak your piece.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. My name is Charlie Duggar, and I'm very grateful to Brother Donnie Glover giving me the opportunity for 35 years, counting this year, because we missed last year because of the pandemic. We've been doing a Motherhood and Womanhood celebration annually at that way. Thank you, sir. At Cary and Cumberland Streets in West Baltimore, 1600 block of North Cary between Cumberland and Baker. So we want to do it again this year, tomorrow. Always we held it the Saturday before Mother's Day. 1600 block of North Cary between Cumberland and Baker Streets. As a part of our Motherhood and Womanhood celebration, we do our annual Paul Robeson basketball tournament. Both activities will be greatly modified. Why? Because really the city didn't give us the permit. I've been calling them faithfully, over the years. I paid the event fee, the food permit fee, the park permit fee. We do all the things that are necessary. We rent a portable toilet, but we weren't able to do any of that because the city did not give its approval. And I said to them, as I ride around the city, I see football games on Saturdays. I used to have basketball teams, and we went in prisons and played ball. And we played BNBL and also Project Survival. And if you went up to Cloverdale recently, they were packed with people. So I asked Rec and Parks, how can that be? And they said, well, hey, that's just the way it is. We're doing it like that. But we wanted to bring some love and fellowship to the community. This is the same community where sadly the Korean women were beaten by the brother with the brick, and on Easter Sunday a man was murdered right there at Pennsylvania and Cumberland. So we know that despite the madness, the badness, and the sadness, there's also gladness. I'm constantly challenging people that we need to be picketing and boycotting Fox News, because all they want to do is bring us bad news. Remember Eveline, the Wicked Witch and the Wiz? She would say, nobody bring me no more bad news. And all Fox does is bring us bad news. But for every bad story in Baltimore, I say there are 10 good stories. Baltimore is a prize, brothers and sisters, because they spend too much time bad-mouthing us. So we must see that. Like Nina Simone was singing, Baltimore ain't that hard to live. Well, let's make it better. So help us make it better, and join us tomorrow, Saturday, May the 8th, from 3 to 5 p.m. at the 1600 block of North Cary. Just called the Elwood Brown Memorial Playground. And let's bring.
What's the name of the day?
It's now 35th annual Motherhood and Womanhood celebration. Thank you, sir. In conjunction with that, we do our Paul Robeson basketball tournament. That'll be modified. Might be a couple startup games, but also boys and girls, men and women can get a prize. How many 3-point shots they can do in a minute? How many free throws they can do in a minute? They can get a book. They can get some incense. They can get some Mother's Day cards. We don't need to win $1 billion every time we're successful at what we're trying to achieve, but just the fellowship. In Kwanzaa, we speak of Ujima, working together with Ujima sharing. So we want to do that. So we need the community support to come on out tomorrow from 3 to 5. And if you have a poem to say, a song to sing, something celebrative, we're looking forward to seeing you. Like they say, your face in the place. And again, and we can be socially distant. We can wear our masks if we like. It's all outdoors, and it's a big area. So, we hope you'll participate with us, and thank you very much.
You want to put any contact information?
Oh, you can call me. Thank you, sir. 443-742-5193. 443-742-5193. And that's tomorrow, weather permitting. And if a little sprinkle come down, that's a libation from the Creator saying it's wonderful that we are doing this. So we hope that you'll be a part of it with us. And again, thank you so much, sir.
Good deal. That's the one and only Charlie Duggar. Took me on the radio when I was 15 years old, Paul.
Awesome, man.
That's the legendary, the one and only. Yes, sir. Thank you for joining me, brother Charlie. What's that phone number one more time?
443.
443.
742.
742.
5193, sir.
5193. Brother Charlie has taught in a number of Baltimore City public schools.
46 years.
46 years. You got the green school bus still?
No, I don't have a white van now, sir.
You have the green tattered school bus. He took us everywhere with that green tattered school bus, including the penitentiary and Jessup House. We would provide arts programs, play the brothers in basketball. Okay, we're going to talk about some money. You want to talk about money, Paul? You like to talk about money?
Well, yeah, let's talk about this money because there's plenty of it out there.
Okay, now you the contract doctor. I saw you on tomorrow's show with the young lady Nicole Orr, and you were just, Paul, I was just so impressed, so proud. Can't you never say die. You just keep on keeping on.
Right.
And let me get the website, contractdoctor.com.
Right. Come on, Donnie. Black people don't die. We're resilient.
I thought you were going to say we don't die, we multiply.
We do that too. We do that too, but you know.
And the website is thecontractdoctor.com.
Yep. www.thecontractdoctor.com.
All right, well, let's give you your props, so make you famous.
All right now.
Okay, tell us all about it. What are you doing for people?
So at the Contract Doctor, I do two things very well. First thing we do is we draft and interpret contracts for small business owners so that they don't sign anything that they'll later regret. That's the first thing. All right, so we draft and interpret contracts for small business owners so that they don't sign anything that they'll later regret. The other thing that we do very well is process documentation. So if there's a process that has a lot of documentation, you hire us to become your general, so to speak, to run that process for you. So for example, if you want to get 8A certified with the federal government so that you can get part of that $4 trillion a year that they give or that they award in contracts, okay? If they want to be MBE certified to work with the state or the county or the city of Baltimore, you come see us. That's a process that has a lot of documents to it. And, a lot of people are either A, busy, understandably so, trying to run their business, or two, they just don't feel like fooling with all that paperwork and that process. So we do process documentation. Inside of process documentation, a client asked me to do her PPP back in April of 2020. And I did her PPP, found out that I was good with it. I got her money, and she turned me on to several of her friends, and I did theirs. And then it ballooned to over 400 clients between round one and round two. Okay. So that's what we do. So we're doing the PPP. We've expanded to do the EIDL, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, SVOG, as well as the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So
tell me about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. I just finished talking with Mr. Jimmy. By the way, Mr. Jimmy's got that Mother's Day menu going on. You know what's on the menu?
No, what?
Well, there you go. Southern fried chicken, jumbo lump crab cakes, New Zealand lamb chops, 8-ounce filet mignon medallion, colossal stuffed shrimp, grilled salmon. You mentioned Be More News when you call that 410-521-0200. Don't that sound good? I ain't gonna lie, you ain't supposed to eat red meat, but that filet mignon got my name on it. So do the jumbo lump crab cakes. Matter of fact, I want some fried chicken and some lamb chops too.
I want it right now, Donnie. I don't want to wait till Sunday.
Well, call him up, 521-0200. Tell him Donnie sent you. He'll hook you up.
Which Jimmy is this?
Jimmy Britton, Class A.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Jimmy's got the best crab cake in the city. He always had.
I've had his teriyaki salmon. That's pretty good too.
Is it? Okay. Well, just about anything Jimmy cooks is good. And his staff is always excellent and well prepared.
You know, I was talking to him, and on this very note, he said many of us did not have our paperwork in order.
Yep, for PPP. He's absolutely right.
So let's go into this restaurant revitalization fund. That just came out a couple of days ago.
Yep,
Or how long is that?
that just came out Monday. So
Wow.
people could apply starting on Monday for that. So that one's a little newer. So I'm not as up on the shuttered venue and the restaurant thing as I am on PPP and EIDL. So I'm a PPP expert. I'm an EIDL expert through and through. I've been doing those since April of 2020. So with the restaurant thing just coming out on Monday, I haven't been able to wrap my full arms all the way around it. But I know it's about $260 billion that just came out, somewhere around there. And folks are eligible up to, I think it's 10 million or 5 million. You can get up to and it's a grant. It's a grant, Donnie. So the restaurant fund, that's really a grant. So you don't have to pay it back. Like EIDL, you have to pay that one back. So with the restaurant, you don't have to pay that one back. And another thing that I learned that some people may not know is you don't have to just own a restaurant, man. You can be a caterer and you can also be a food truck. There's a lot of food trucks in Baltimore. So I'm hoping that folks are applying for those funds. It's a little hard to make that application. We tried to break it down, and or my staff did. And man, that's a tough application. But the hardest application is the shuttered venue. That's 10 million. So shuttered venue is up to 10 million, and the restaurant fund is up to 5 million. There we go.
What is shuttered venue?
That is the say the entertainment industry. That's for the entertainment industry. So the shuttered venue, if your venue was shut down, concert venue was shut down due to COVID-19, and you couldn't do any concerts because there was no thank you, Mr. Randolph, 10 million there. There was no gathering, they shut everything down. If your ability to earn money in the entertainment industry as a entertainment venue was cut off or shut down, they now have a special fund for you, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. Again, that's a grant, so you don't have to pay that back. Woohoo! So you get up to $10 million for the Shuttered Venues Operators Grant. And if you're a promoter, you can tap into that fund. A lot of promoters in Baltimore City. And also, if you are a manager, okay, if you're a manager, you can also tap into that Shuttered Venues Operators, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant.
Wow. Okay.
It's
So
a ton of money out here, man. Like, it's so much money. When COVID-19 hit, the federal government set aside about 10 different piles of money, literally 10 piles of money for folks to go get. Okay. Now you have to have your wits about you and you have to know what you're doing, but there's 10 piles of money that, folks can get. Now there's really only 4 piles of money that Donnie people, regular folks like me and you can go get. So the other 6 out of the 10, there's 10 piles of money. You and me and folks like me, we can go get maybe 4 piles of money. And the other 6, we don't really go for those, and that's because you have to be like an airline industry. They set off a real big pile of money for the airline industry. But let's go back to the 4 that we can get. That's what we really want to talk about. 2 out of the 4 everyone knows about, but the other 2 were kind of some sort of secret in the African American community. The first 2 that everyone knows about is the unemployment. Everyone applied for unemployment that could get it or that thought they were eligible. And if you got unemployment, kudos to you. Some folks were making $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month on unemployment during this pandemic. Okay. A lot of folks know about unemployment. The second pile of money that a lot of folks know about is the stimulus checks, or the stimmies, as they call it, stimulus checks. A lot of folks know about them. The last round of stimulus checks, $1,400, helped a lot of Americans out. And I support that. Glad for it. Those were the main two piles of money that everybody in our community knew about. But for some reason, it was a huge secret for, to me, almost a year for PPP and EIDL. So I'll explain that in depth in a minute. The PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program. And it seems like now we African Americans are en masse as a whole, as a community, are just now finding out about the PPP, as a massive group. And then the other thing is the EIDL, that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And that is a true loan. You're going to pay that back, but it's a 30-year loan. Okay. So like my professor used to teach us, if you're going to get a loan, or if you're thinking about taking a loan, do it in the following manner, or in accordance with the following formula. If you're going to even think about taking a loan, break it down. How much is the loan, right? That's the principal balance. And the question is, can you multiply that principal balance by 10? Okay, so can you take that one bag of money that they're giving you, can you multiply it into 10 bags of money over the life of the loan? Okay, so in this case, with the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, say you're going to get $100,000 and it's a 30-year term, 30-year loan. Here's the critical question. The critical question is, can you take that $100,000 and can you multiply it into 10 bags over the life of the loan, which is 30 years? So can you take $100,000, Donnie, and can you turn it into $1 million in 30 years? Do you have that critical plan? Do you have a business plan? Do you have it written down? Are you prepared to follow it to a T? Any loan that you're thinking of getting, try and see if you can follow that formula. If you can do it, then it's okay to take the loan. If it's shaky, you don't think you can do it, don't take the loan. All right, so that's the EIDL. Back to the PPP, as a lot of people know, the PPP was scheduled to end on May 31st. Okay, it started in January. This second round started in January, and it was supposed to go until May 31st. But what a lot of people didn't catch, and I tried to educate as many folks as I could, it was scheduled to end on May 31st or until the money ran out. And for all extent and purposes, on Wednesday morning, really Tuesday evening, we got word that the money ran out. But there's a caveat. Along with everything, there's always a caveat, Donnie. And what we're saying is that the money ran out from the general fund. What does that mean, Paul? The money ran out from the general fund, which means that there's $8 billion still left over. Okay, so most folks are shut out. They can't get PPP anymore. But for minorities, there's a special set aside fund of $8 billion still going on. Okay, so we're still in the running. We're still getting our clients funded and approved. So, it's not over. The fat lady has not sung for minority groups. Okay, so that includes women, that includes African Americans and other persons of color. So if you're in that category, try and still apply for PPP. If you're in that category, you can still get it. If you're outside of that category, it's shut down. You had all the way since January in this second round to get it. And really from the first round, you had since April 2020 to get some of that PPP.
Wow. How do you keep all of that information in your head?
Because I've been doing it since April 2020. And I research, 400 people have hired me to get their loans. So I have to stay up on top of things, Donnie. I have to stay up on top of it.
Okay, handle this question for me from Michael Randolph. I heard this from a mutual friend of ours about people going to jail. Have you heard of anyone going to jail?
Well, those headlines are very prominent. And people have to be very careful with their PPP applications. If you're going to do it yourself, be very careful. If you're going to hire somebody, make sure they know what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, Donnie, and we like I said, we've done almost 400 applications or maybe more. And at the end of the day, that person my client, your name is the one on the dotted line because the money goes into your account. So Don, if you hired me, I can't get your money. Okay. Your money goes into Donnie Glover's account. And at the end of the day, you're ultimately going to be held responsible for that loan. Now, you're either going to have to pay it back or you're going to go to prison or both. And here's the issue with folks going to prison. There's two issues. Number one is when folks are blatantly lying, and there's a lot of cases in the media about that. The pastor, I think is a pastor near D.C. or in Maryland, but near Washington, D.C., he got PPP money and bought 35 cars. There's the gentleman off of Love and Hip Hop, who got $2 million. Now, here's the issue, especially with the guy on Love and Hip Hop who got $2 million for PPP, right? He told the federal government that he had a bunch of trucks. He had a trucking company. He had a bunch of trucks, and that he had a bunch of employees. Come to find out, not only did he not have any trucks, he had 0 trucks, Donnie, but he didn't even have any employees. Okay. So he just reached up in the thin air and just fabricated employees and numbers. And you can't do that, folks. If you have a legitimate business, you can get PPP safely. It's safe. It's a government program. It's not welfare. So it's okay to get PPP, but you have to do it the right way. You have to do it in a truthful manner. You can't reach up in the sky and just pull down some numbers. Okay. That's how you get in trouble. A lot of people think if you don't have employees, you can't get PPP. That's incorrect. You can legally get PPP even if you don't have any employees. A lot of people think if you don't have an LLC that you can't get PPP. That's incorrect. You do not have to have an LLC in order to get a PPP. You can be by yourself, right? And that is what is legally called a sole proprietor. Now, you can have an LLC, you can have a S Corp, you can have a C Corp, you can have a partnership. A lot of people don't know there's another one, a sole proprietor. A sole proprietor is somebody that is doing business off by themselves. And as a sole proprietor, you just haven't bothered to get the LLC or the C Corp, S Corp, or the partnership yet. But you're doing business, okay? That could be you're a barber, right? You just haven't got an LLC. When people pay you, they pay you on your Cash App or your Square, or they hand you cash. And you just haven't gone down to the SDAT on Preston Street, the State Department of Assessments and Taxation, and you just haven't formally filed for your name. But you may walk around and say, John Smith may be Smith Barbering. Okay, that's a DBA, doing business as. That's a sole proprietorship. Okay, now there's some reasons why you don't want a sole proprietorship, but Donnie, that's another show. We're talking about, for purposes of PPP, if you're by yourself and you're doing business, an actual business, even after you get off from work. So a lot of my clients, Donnie, they have a 9-to-5. And remember, with PPP, we cannot use W-2 income. So if you have a JOB, we can't use that income. But after your JOB on Saturdays and Sundays, or when you get off work at 5 o'clock and you're at your house or, wherever you are, and you're doing hair, or you're selling cupcakes, you're selling dinner, you're frying fish, you're jumping car. I've got so many people, Donnie, that can't survive off of a regular W-2, and they supplement their income with just one of their hidden talents. Okay. And if you're using God's gifts and you're making money, even if you don't have any employees, even if you haven't formed an LLC, you can apply for PPP, and you still can. If you're a minority and you're operating in your gift, you can still apply for PPP. Okay. That's how folks were getting in trouble, Donnie. They're sitting there pulling numbers out the thin air, right? They don't have a job. They're on a job or unemployment, and they're not doing anything. You know what I mean? Go ahead. Hard to hear you. You're muted. There you go.
Of the 400 clients that you have, and there's a question: will this work for realtors?
Some of my biggest clients are realtors. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's what I wanted to ask you. Of the 400, can you share an idea of what types of businesses? And this is more about encouraging entrepreneurship, something near
Right.
and dear to my heart with the Black Wall Street Awards and all. That so many times we have a dream and we might be afraid to leave the 9 to 5 to start the dream. I know this is a sidebar, but
All right.
are Black people running businesses? Do I hear you saying Black people are running businesses?
So, Donnie, when I first got into this, there's a long answer and a short answer. Okay. When I first got into this, I was working on a client and I had occasion to speak to someone at the SBA. This might have been June. I think this was June of 2020. This is when all this was new and you could actually get the SBA on the phone a lot easier. But anyway, I talked to a guy at the SBA and I was running through the numbers and I was like, how do I get this client approved and get them this money that they deserve? You know what the guy at the SBA said to me? He said, Mr. Gardner, one of the issues that we're seeing, and he didn't name our community, but he was talking about our community. He kept it politically correct, but he meant our community. He said, one of the issues that we're seeing already here at the SBA with small businesses, he said that most people don't own a small business, they own a job. I said, whoa, wait a minute, what are you talking about? He said most people are operating, they're commingling funds. So when you have a small business, except for sole proprietors, they can spend the money as if it's their own. But once you go down to the SDAT, the State Department of Assessments and Taxation, and you apply and receive your LLC, your C Corp, your S Corp, or your partnership, you have to do things totally different. Because what you're saying to the state of Maryland and everybody that you do business with is that I am not my company. We call that an alter ego. Your alter ego is your LLC or your S Corp, your C Corp, or your partnership, and your alter ego is different. You're going to transact business with the alter ego that's over there. You're not doing business with me. You're doing business with over there. And what happens is that when people take the corporate credit card or debit card or the money that's meant for their business that they formed, and they spend it on their mortgage or their rent, Donnie, or they go to the grocery store and they spend, you're commingling funds. You are blurring the lines between yourself and that business over there. When you're using corporate funds for yourself, you're blurring the lines. And when you blur the lines, it's what we call PCV, piercing the corporate veil. So I want everyone to understand that. PCV is called piercing the corporate veil. And when you form your company, your LLC, or let me say entity, when you form your entity, you're putting a shield around your assets, okay? And that's a corporate veil. And down in here under your assets is your house, your car, your boat, your bank account. It prevents creditors who sue you from getting to your personal assets. But if you're going to use the corporate money to pay for your assets, that blurs the lines. Okay. And if it blurs the lines, then a creditor can pierce the corporate veil, go right through there, pierce that veil, and get to your personal assets. So right now, if I have an LLC, folks have to sue my LLC. They can't sue me, right? But if I'm using my LLC money to pay myself or pay my personal bills, then folks can come right from suing my LLC and they can sue me personally. That's a big thing right now. And for a lot of folks don't understand, when you're doing these PPP applications, here's tip number one, free tip number one on the PPP application. Everybody listen up. You're telling the federal government, a lot of folks make this mistake. You're telling the federal government, I have an LLC, I have an EIN. So I have an LLC, I have an EIN, but guess what? I don't have a business bank account. A lot of us have not bothered to go get our business bank account. Now, wait a minute. We get the LLC, we'll get the EIN, but we won't get the business bank account. So we're really not in business. Not really. Not according to the SBA. You don't own a business, you own a job. So what happens on the PPP application, what you're telling the federal government is is that I want you to give my business, I have an LLC, right? Give my LLC, approve my LLC, approve my EIN corporately. But guess what, Donnie? Give the money to me personally, because I don't have a business bank account, but you can put it in my personal account. You can put it in my personal account. So you're telling them business, but put the money in my personal account. And we know that piercing the corporate veil is a huge no-no. I cannot put your business money in your personal account. That's a huge no-no. And a lot of folks don't understand that. And so, I applied and I didn't get the money. Oh, hell no, you ain't get the money. Because you just told the federal government to treat you as a business, an LLC, but to pierce the corporate veil already and put the money into your personal bank account. So that's a problem. So if you are a sole proprietor, you have to do the application totally different. You can't do it as business, but put the money in my personal bank account. So that's the end of tip number one. So, however, Donnie, after all that, I have ran across a large number of African Americans in our community that are doing business the right way. So they own a small business. They don't own a job. They actually own a business. One of the biggest surprises I had, Donnie, was in round one. I got contacted by two young African American gentlemen in Washington, D.C. that ran a clothing line. Okay. And when they ran their clothing line, I'm running their numbers to see what they're entitled to. Okay, so we don't just pull stuff out of the sky. Send me your tax information. Let me run through it. Let me figure out what you're entitled to. Donnie, these two gentlemen were legitimately making, I think it was $400,000, $500,000 a year in the clothing industry in Washington, D.C. And I'm not talking about selling Nike.
Wow.
Or selling, yeah, it was. I'm looking at the taxes that they filed. You know what I mean? I'm looking not mock-up taxes or taxes maybe one day. I'm not tax returns that they had filed with the IRS, 2019 tax return. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are paying taxes on it was $400,000 or $500,000 for their private label clothing company. So we're not even talking about, Under Armour. We're not talking about Under Armour or anything that you and I would readily recognize. You had to be in Washington, D.C. and from that neighborhood to really understand the power of their clothing line. And I was like, my goodness. Donnie, you also asked me some other industries that we saw. Nurses. Nurses are a big category. Realtors are a big category because realtors get 1099s. Anybody that gets Schedule C or 1099, what are y'all waiting on? Good. If you have a 1099 or Schedule C, hurry up, go get your PPP money. You're probably
it's not too late. I thought you said it's too late. It ran out Tuesday.
No, remember, Donnie, I'm saying it's not too late. They have $8 billion set aside for minorities still.
Okay, but you got a countdown on your IG, your Instagram. I thought we had like 30 hours left, 3 days.
No. I don't have a countdown quite like that. I was trying to provide an estimate of how many billions of dollars were left. So the general fund is done, kaput. If you are a Caucasian, if you're a Caucasian man, your time is up pretty much. If you are a minority, if you're a woman, if you're African American, there's $8 billion still left, Donnie. Now, of course, it's leaving fast.
That a white man can't get?
Not really. I'm not going to say definitively no, but I don't know any place that if a white man called me right now to be a client, I'd have to turn him down.
And I'm also want to be clear. Part of it is because they were hit off in the first round.
Oh, big time. Good heavens. So they
were getting money when nobody else was getting money.
Technically, you could argue that. So there's been 2 rounds. And in round one is really broken down to 1A, 1B, and 1C. So a lot of people don't know that. So really, to me, it's been 4 rounds. But they say round 1 and round 2. So technically, if I'm to adopt what they're saying, round 1 is round 1A, 1B, 1C, and then you get to round 2. Okay, so round 1A, they had $300 billion that they put out. 363, I believe it was $363 billion they put out in round 1A. And not just the Caucasians got it, but the rich Caucasians got it, which made the other Caucasians mad who didn't get it. Because I'm talking about in round 1A, $363 billion. The rich Caucasians took all of that in about 2 weeks, Donnie. That flew out the door in about 2 weeks. So you're talking about, let's go back on the History Channel here. Ruth Chris got, 20 million. Ruth Chris got 20 million. My Los Angeles Lakers got 4 million. It was so many big corporations that took the money from the small guys, even the small white guys, that they got mad. The masses told Congress, we need more money because we didn't get any of that. And wait a minute, hey, we need some money. So the next round 1B was for the small mom and pops. A lot of people say that really went to the white mom and pops, round 1B. Then they tried to fix things, and that's when we saw round 1C, and that was for more traditional minorities. You know what I mean? So round 1A was for rich white folks. Round 1B was for small business white folks, and round 1C was for us. And we still didn't get it. I remember in round C, Magic Johnson made the comment that only 7% of African Americans who are eligible to get the money are getting it. And you can Google that. That Magic Johnson said only 7% of African Americans that are eligible in round C were getting the money. It was that bad. We weren't getting it. You know what I mean? We're eligible to get it. And we're trying our darndest to get it. Only 7% got through. So that's why when round 2 finally came out here in January, for the first, I can't remember now, but I remember, I think it was 30 days. I think the first 2 weeks, first 2 weeks, they only allowed round 2 applicants to be African Americans and minorities. They were trying to fix it. Joe Biden was trying to fix it. You know what I mean? Joe was trying to fix it, man. So historically, our community has not gotten it. And right around the time now, maybe about 2 weeks ago, was April 7th, when the SBA put out a list. And they've been putting out these lists forever. I mean, my goodness, that's like, gee whiz, that's good evidence. That might have been the 5th time the list came out, but for some reason, we as a community finally paid attention on April 7th, Donnie. April 7th, we finally paid attention, and people are looking up everyone's name to see who's on the list and who got the PPP money. And everybody was surprised because you told me you bought that house, or you bought that truck, or you bought a house for your daughter, and you told me that you were able to buy a house for your daughter because you worked hard during the pandemic, and come to find out you got $1.1 million in PPP money. You know what I'm saying? So you weren't working hard. So now all of a sudden, Black folks, we like to look each other up. Come on, Donnie. We like to look each other up and dig up dirt on each other. And so when the list came out April 7th, we were all looking, everybody up to see who got what. And that's when it exploded in our community. The knowledge of PPP exploded. And that's when it kind of got a bad name, man. Like around April 10th, everyone starts saying scam and this and that. How are you on the list because you don't have any employees? How are you on the list because you don't have an LLC? And unfortunately, the people that were saying or asking those questions didn't understand the PPP. You could be on the list and don't have any employees. You could be a sole proprietor. You could be on the list and you don't have an LLC. You could be a sole proprietor. You know what I mean? So it became like, sometimes, Donnie, in our community, when you're smart, it's not considered a good thing. You know what I mean? So, look at Paul. I kind of dealt with that growing up a little bit. Paul, he think he's smart. And, and it becomes a bad thing to become smart when it shouldn't be. Oh my good. We need everybody.
It's a bad thing to be dumb.
Right. It's a bad thing to be dumb. And that's how it came at, like around April 10th, it became a bad thing to be on the PPP list. And I'm sitting here, look, I have no hair, Donnie. I tore my hair out my head because I'm like, Black folks, what are y'all doing? It's not bad to be on the list. It's bad to be on the list if you pull numbers out the thin air. But even the SBA, last thing I'll say, Donnie, on this, the SBA determined that there's only been a 4% fraud level. The SBA themselves have said that they experienced 4% fraud level in round one. So that's before round two came out. They said we only experienced a fraud level of 4% in round one. That means 96% of the people are doing it correctly, Donnie. Okay, so it's not a bad thing to be on that list. You want to be on the money list. This PPP list is like the Forbes list for small businesses. You better get on that list.
So Paul, you've broken down so much for us, but I want you, because maybe I didn't get it. In short, is entrepreneurship on the rise in the Black community from your perspective?
Absolutely, Donnie. My 400 plus clients, Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, LA, Malibu. I got some rich folks in Malibu, okay? New York, right here in Baltimore, Owings Mills, everywhere. I can tell you that I've seen it. I've seen the promised land, Donnie. I did not know some of us were doing that well because the news media, the main, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, HLN, they don't do those simple stories, man. I've ran across so many people that are doing well. They're doing business the right way. They have their EIN, their LLC, their bank account. They have everything, Go ahead.
Can I put you on the spot?
Go ahead.
Over the next few weeks, can you send some of these business owners on this show? And they don't have to mention their loan or what have you, but what I'm interested in is promoting Black business.
Yeah, heck yeah. I know a couple people. I know a couple people, man, that would jump at the chance.
We want to celebrate. We want to celebrate this because I see. I mean, and you're confirming it. I'm seeing the sleeping giant awaken. I'm seeing us look beyond a 9-to-5.
Yep.
We can never get rich working a 9-to-5.
Never. Yeah, so, it's not going to happen.
So COVID has made, I heard a young man, he's about 18. He said, COVID is God's way of sending the world to its room.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree.
And so now that we in our room, what are we going to do? Are we going to mope, whine, complain, or are we going to use, and you used the word earlier, gifts, talents that the good Lord bestowed upon us?
Keep going, Dan.
And create viable entities that stand the test of time.
Right. So,
but you got a new invention? Oh, okay.
No. I had to charge my light. You know what I'm saying? Like I was in a closet, man. So,
it's a new day in Black America. I mean, you think of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter, the protests that have gone worldwide. This is a new day in Black America, huh, Paul?
It is. We have finally awakened. There's a very famous meme of a white man sitting at a table, and underneath the table, the four legs are four Black men kind of bent over, and the table is set on their backs. And as the meme goes, we can upend the game, if we just stand up. All we got to do is stand up, and then the game pieces will go flying, so forth and so on. And that's what I've been seeing, man. I'm seeing that more and more African-American entrepreneurs, and Mr. Randolph is absolutely right. And in that group, African-American females are definitely the fastest growing group. I'm screaming out to my young African-American males, like, guys, the females are kind of leaving y'all behind.
Well, part of it is because we face mass incarceration, adjudication.
That is true. That is true. But Donnie, with these COVID funds, I don't care if it was unemployment, stimulus check, PPP, or EIDL, there was 4 opportunities for all of us to come up.
Okay, Paul. That's where I'm getting ready to transition to something else you provide. You posed the question when you came on the network a week ago. If you gave me $1 million, could I flip it into 10 million?
That's right.
So I'm gonna answer your question. I don't know. But then you provided more information. We found out that the contract doctor not only does contracts, PPP, EIDL, you also do something that might be, maybe it should be number one. They say if you plan to fail, you fail to plan.
That's right.
So you do
business plans.
Come on, tell me about it.
That to me is one of the key things that we were able to offer our clients. So when folks would come and hire me for PPP or EIDL, I would always say, okay, what are you going to do PPP with this $20,000? On EIDL, the most we got a client was $190,000. Okay.
Well, why you asking? You saw them about to go to Brazil and get a couple pair of Ferragamos and get that Burberry. You saw them about to clown like a kid in the candy store and a toy store.
I saw a couple of my early clients because I have a sound fiscal mind, because I've had a pile of money before and ran through it. So then when I got a second pile of money, I knew not to do that again. You know what I mean? So some people, I quickly learned that this may be their first big pile of money, and that's okay. I'm not putting anybody down. You know what I mean? That's fine. But what I started to offer folks was, hey, if you want to tell me kind of what are your plans for the money, what are your plans for this money? And, most people, I'd say 70% of the people were, like I said, were that hidden Black America that had businesses, and they knew what to do with the money. They're like, hey, I own a trucking company. I'm going to buy a brand new.
In the words of Judge Mathis, some people got some crackish ways. And that don't necessarily mean drugs, but just, okay.
The other 30% of my clients were like, I'm well, hold on. Let me tell this, because I'm gonna tell this in real time. In the beginning, I didn't offer my business plan services. I didn't know they were needed. I quickly saw, though, that yes, they are indeed needed. Folks take this money, and next thing you know, they're scratching like, you got any more of that PPP? You got any more of that PPP? And I'm like, what'd you do with that 20,000? You got it, 6 weeks ago. Good heavens, you went through 20,000 in a pandemic. Like, you can't even travel. Like, what'd you do with the money? So we started offering the business plans. And then I even had another client come to me. We did her business plan, Donnie. And this is when I said, man, wait a minute. You can't start sliding this into your proposal for folks. You really have to put this up front. You really have to say to folks, this is whoa. Anyway, with this particular person, we did a business plan. In about 2 weeks, she got $40,000. In about 2 weeks, she called me up and she said, Paul, my nephew, he's asking me to put $15,000 into his rap career. What do you think? Now, Donnie, I said, wait a minute now, hold on now. Rap careers are very speculative. Number one, some people can make it, but the vast majority don't. It's like the NFL. There's 10 million kids, and there's only 375 spaces. So the odds are against you. So, but I asked her, I said, ma'am, I said, can you pull out your business plan that we did? She said, of course. Okay, hold on, let me get it. She got it. And I said, just thumb through it for me, leaf through it. She said, okay. I said, now where in there do you see rap careers? She said, I don't. I said, there's your answer. If it's not in your business plan, you can't do it. If it's not in your business plan, you can't even explore the opportunity. If it's not your business plan, you have to sadly tell the person no. You have to wait until you get the fruits of your labor from following your business plan, and then you can go into other opportunities. I said, but we worked on the business plan. You said this is what you want to do. You're very specific. You're in real estate. You want to stay in real estate. You want to expand and do more real estate things. Why would you stop that and go to something that's speculative? When the real estate industry right now, I'm hearing some realtors are putting houses on the market and then closing the bids that same day. I said, so that market, why would you run from that? Right?
So now what?
So she didn't do it. I mean, she didn't give her nephew the money. She didn't do it. So folks, if you don't if you don't have a business plan, then you're really setting yourself up for failure after you get unemployment, after you get the stimulus check, after you get PPP, after you get EIDL. You really have to have it. I can't stress enough. You have to have a business plan. I'm building 2 businesses right now myself. One is the Modern Day Business School, and I have a business plan. And I know how to execute. I know what I'm doing, but I still have a business plan. You know what I mean? And it's written down. It's not in my head. It's written down. It's about, 23 to 27 pages. And I've taken the time, even myself, to write down what it is I'm doing. And in a business plan, folks, let me break down business plan real quick. In a good business plan, you want to start off with what we call an executive summary. An executive summary is pretty much your business plan at a glance. So your business plan can be 10 pages, 20 pages, can be up to 50 pages, really. But your executive summary is 2 pages. So it's your entire business plan condensed into 2 pages. It's basically what my idea is, what my research says about my idea that is viable, what my competition looks like, and what are my numbers, okay? And let's talk about what are my numbers. That's the biggest part to me of the business plan. When I say what are my numbers, I say I'm going into business doing the Modern Day Business School. I'm charging X amount of dollars to the consumers, and I expect X amount of consumers to purchase this. And because of that, I'm going to then make X amount of dollars. Okay. And you can, if you have money already, and a lot of people do. So, prior to the pandemic, that was a loaded question. But if you have money, you have EIDL money, PPP money, unemployment money that you've saved. You can even have saved your stimulus check. So if you already have money, you can get away with a smaller business plan. If you already have the money that you're going to use to fund your business idea, you might be able to get away with a 5-page business plan, 10 page, maybe 15. If you don't have the money and you're going to use your business plan in a conventional way, and you're going to use your business plan to go and get an investor, then you're going to need a bigger business plan. And inside that business plan, you probably want to put some colors in it. You want to put some charts and some graphs. You really want to put your best foot forward. No spelling errors, no grammatical mistakes. Have your margins even on both sides, because I'm an investor. And I invest in people, and I invest in business plans. And one of the first things I do is I'm going to tear your business plan apart. The first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to see what's your presentation? Are your margins crooked? Are there spelling errors? Are there grammatical mistakes? Some things I can forgive, but if you don't know how to spell THE, I'm not working with you. Okay. If you don't know how to spell the title, if you don't have the correct date, there's just some things that I get so many business plans and so many people coming to me to be an investor that I'm going to use almost anything that I can use to throw your business plan in. I'm going to use almost anything I have to throw your business plan in the trash. So you've got to pass my first test, what we call like a smell test. It has to look good. It has to feel good. So it can't be any margin errors, any spelling errors, any grammatical errors, anything like that. The second thing, if you pass that test, and some people do, but once you pass that test, now I'm looking at the strength of your idea. Okay. I'm looking at the strength of your idea and the strength of your research and the strength of your competitors. And have you done a competitor analysis? Do you know what you're talking about? Because a lot of people have great ideas, but they haven't done any market research. Okay, it can't be feasible. So those are things that you have to put into your business plan. And then once you have your business plan, follow it to a T. Don't deviate from your business plan. I've seen a couple of people try and do that, and that's going to be the kiss of death, Donnie. That's the kiss of death.
A business plan starts at how much?
You can business plan can start at zero if you're drafting your own business plan. Okay, so if you're drafting your own business plan, remember,
you pay for.
But I'm telling people, if you already have your money, you don't need any money to fund your vision. Then start at zero and draft your own business plan and see how it looks. Okay. After that, if you don't like how it looks, you don't like what you did, then you can come to someone like me, a professional who does professional business plans. My lowest business plan starts at $500, and then we go all the way up, Donnie. I mean, I've had somebody.
Okay, we just want to get them in the game. We want to know. We want to help people formulate, because
I would say between 500 and 1,000 just to get them, just to get in the game. And my $500 one is most people's $2,500 one. I have judged business plan competitions. I've maybe judged 6 big business plan competitions. So I'm an expert in constructing the business plans and breaking down the business plans.
Well,
So
I think you should have a show on this network.
No, Donnie, it's too for me. I'm happy to come do an hour or so, but to slow down what I'm doing now, I'm building 2 new products. PPP is about to end, but we're picking right up with the SVOG and then the restaurant fund. And there's other projects that I'm doing. I got my hands on reality TV. There's a lot of stuff that is happening, and it's I couldn't take on that responsibility just yet. Maybe in the future, though, I'd love it.
But that's a wonderful thing that business is that good that you don't want to be distracted. That's a beautiful thing, and it sends a lesson and a message to all of us.
Yeah.
Stick to the plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Donnie. You have to stick to the plan. You can't afford to be distracted, even though, opportunities are great. You know what I mean? The only thing I got distracted by was Bitcoin. I put some money into Bitcoin and I watched it grow. Other than that, I followed my business plan to a T.
Well, then I'm going to have to introduce you to, we have a new advertiser, as you can see down the bottom. His name is Kamal Hubbard, and he's out in California, but he also,
there it is.
Not only is he an author, but he's also big. This particular term, DeFi before, and it's an acronym.
Is he in a crypto? Is he in a cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, my producer on WEAA, Mike Nice, he's into Bitcoin, and he was sharing some tidbits last night on some Bitcoins to pick up some, I guess you call them stocks,
right? Yeah.
That are worth picking up. And can you tell us a little bit about Bitcoin, why that's important, why we should keep that in mind? I know we only have a minute or so.
So for
it is.
Yep. So
see, I asked him last night, is it an actual coin? Is that an actual coin that's actually used?
That's one of the original ones.
Wow.
That's one of the original ones. So with Bitcoin, so let me see how to break it down in under a minute.
You know what?
So banks, no, Donnie, check this out. There's banks, And banks can do stuff with your money. They can withhold your money. They can, whenever you deposit a check and it may not show up for 3 days, 10 days, all that
They
stuff.
make money off of it.
Right. Cryptocurrency cuts out all the banks. In crypto world, you've got Ether, you've got Bitcoin, you've got Dogecoin, or Dogecoin, whatever. But the biggest one so far is Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is worth about $57,000 right now. This time last year it was worth $13,000, and this time now it's worth about $57,000, and it goes up and down all day, every day. Okay, you can start your Bitcoin journey right off of Cash App. A lot of folks may not know this, but you can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin. You could buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy as much as you want. I encourage everybody to follow Nas, Donnie, Jay-Z, and DJ Khaled just released a new song called Sorry Not Sorry. Everybody needs to listen to Nas's verse, his 16. Everyone should listen to Nas's 16, his verse on that song, Sorry Not Sorry, came out last week. Basically, Nas invested in Coinbase. I think he invested $500,000. So Nas invested $500,000 into Coinbase. And when Coinbase went public, Coinbase is a centralized place where you can buy and sell cryptocurrency. So you can buy and sell Bitcoin, Ether, all these. There's 1,000 different cryptocurrencies. Do your research, though, before you start getting to some of the smaller, lesser known ones, because those can drop off at any moment. Hell, Bitcoin can drop off. But, Tesla, you could buy a Tesla now with Bitcoin. There's a lot of stuff that you could do with Bitcoin. So we don't see Bitcoin disappearing anytime soon. I think Bitcoin is here to stay. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to get into it or dabble in it, get into Bitcoin. I got into Bitcoin initially off of Cash App. I think I put $100 into Bitcoin. So if you look down on your Cash App, at the very bottom of your Cash App, there's like a squiggly line that kind of stands up, kind of square. Hit that button. And once you hit that button, it'll say stocks, and then it'll also say Bitcoin. So stocks and Bitcoin. Hit Bitcoin, and then it'll say how much you want to buy. I think I start off at, like I said, $100. I was like, this is a little weird. But what can I stand to lose? If I fall on my face, $100, let me learn. Donnie, I put in $100. That's when Bitcoin was rising. My $100 turned to like $1,000 in like 2 weeks. I said, what is, put more money. Put more money into that. That's something good. The other button you can hit is stocks, and on Cash App, once you hit the button stocks, you can look for the stocks that you want to invest in. Tesla is kind of falling down right now, but here's a rule of thumb that I learned from some people that I follow. Whatever you use in life, invest in that. So a lot of folks maybe want to invest in Under Armour if you wear Under Armour, or if you wear Nikes. If you're running to the store every new Nike release, instead of running to the store this next Nike release, go on Cash App, go on that stock button, and that $100, $150 or $200, $250 you're going to put in them shoes, buy Nike stock instead. And what we always try and teach people is HODL, which is holding on for dear life. Once you put money into the stock or to Bitcoin, leave it there. That's why you only put money that you can afford to lose, because stocks and Bitcoin go up and down, up and down, up and down. You know what I mean? So don't have a knee-jerk reaction. And when Nike starts going down, you take it, oh my God, I lost $10. Leave it there. You've already put money that you can afford to lose, so leave it there. So I remember maybe about 3 weeks ago, Bitcoin was at a high of $62,000, Donnie. $62,000 for every Bitcoin, 62,000. Donnie, it plummeted. It plummeted down to about 47. I lost $20,000 in value in like a week. I lost $20,000 in a week. So most people would panic. Oh my God. But you know what, Donnie? I stayed true to the game. I didn't move it. I left it there. HODL. I held on for dear life. It's called HODL. Hey, hold on for dear life. I did that. Now we're back up to about 57,000, and they say that it's going to reach 100,000 by the end of this year.
We got to do a show just on that alone. Any final thoughts? I've gone over 5 minutes. I respect your time. Time is money. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Give us your closing statement, sir.
All right, my closing statement today is that folks, don't be afraid to become an entrepreneur and work on yourself. If you can afford to give somebody 8 or 8.5 hours from 9 to 5, don't be afraid to give yourself an hour or 2 or 3 hours each evening. Work on finding your God-given talent and ability. Everybody has something they can do. Mine happens to be not only my brain, but my ability to do contracts and read words. And my mom was an English professor, Donnie, and we would have to hand our book report to mom. You know what I mean? We'd have to hand our book report to her before we gave it to the teacher. And back then, I would type. You have to type up your book reports. We didn't have these fancy word processors, and we'd give mom a 10-page book report. It took me 2 hours to type, Donnie. And if mom found one mistake, if she found one period that was off, she'd rip it off, Donnie. And you had to start over. That's why my hidden talent today is perfection in my documents, perfection in my word craft, okay? But everyone has something that they're perfect at. You know what I mean? Find that hidden talent, you have it, and then start to financially and fiscally exploit it, okay? Somebody will buy your talent or parts of your talent. So that's what I want folks to do. The second thing I want to tell them is once you find your talent to fully, properly exploit it, get your LLC, your EIN, and your business bank account. Once you do that, there's a fourth thing, get your business plan. Then you'll be ready. And if you still need PPP or EIDL, there's still $8 billion left, but you have to hurry. You got to come in the next 3 days, 3, maybe 4 days, okay? Because that $8 billion, the whole country is now on $8 billion. You got 3, 4 days to get to that.
I got one question that you're not expecting.
Yes.
Read the quote to us that's on your wall.
The quote?
I know you got a quote somewhere around you.
No.
Then you got to spit it out.
I mean, my quote would be, oh, good heavens, Donnie. I don't have no quote, not readily available. Dadgummit. My quote is, PPP is for me. That's my quote. As long as you're doing it the right way, don't go to jail behind it. It's not worth it. I'm not going to jail, for $20,000. I'm not going to jail for $2 million. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. But if you are doing things the right way, I want you to raise your hand and say, PPP is for me.
Good deal. Have a beautiful weekend. The one and only Paul Gardner, thecontractdoctor.com. My name's Donnie Glover, and we'll be back tonight with Taxi Talk with Larry. Thank you again, Paul, for all you do.
Thank you, Donnie, for all you do.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye now.
Have a great day.
You too.